In this video, we're going to take a look at how to do activity 1.2.3 multi-view drawings. This first video we're going to take a look at is how to create the window block model and the drawing. Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and make sure we're starting off on the default project. If you haven't selected, you can always select this from the option. But from the settings, click on the little three dots, vertical three dots, and select settings. We're going to create a new project now. Within the single user project, we'll select next. Project name, we'll call this multi-view drawings. And then on the ellipse to browse for the project location, we're going to go ahead and select documents and PLTW IED. And inside of PLTW IED, we're going to say make new folder. And we will call this activity 1.2.3 multi-view drawings, and select enter. And then we'll select this folder. While it's selected, we'll select OK. So it'll show you the project folder where it's going to go, and that's going to be what we do. We're going to go ahead and select finish. Multi-view drawings is now the default project. We can select done. And now let's go ahead and select new. And we'll select a standard IPT and create. In this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start a new sketch. We're going to select the XY plane. And we're going to go ahead and select on 2-point rectangle. I'll select on the origin. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to dimension this to be 1.125. Press the tab key to go to the other box by 1.125 and then select enter. So here are dimensions, either if you apply them as you're sketching or if you draw the shape and then apply them. Either way, we're going to be at 1 1/8 inches for the width and height for this block. We're fully constrained. Let's go ahead and finish the sketch. The window block is we're going to go ahead and extrude it. I'm going to go ahead and send this back so that way we can use the front faces to sketch off of a little bit more. And what we're going to end up doing here is we're going to end up having, this is going to be 1.125 as well. So in order to create the window block, I'm going to create another sketch by clicking on Start 2D Sketch and click the front face of the cube. Now in this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and click the line tool. And I'm going to choose the edge of the block, and I'm going to draw over to the other side. So you're going to see that when you're close, you should be able to get a green line that'll show up there if you're working in the dark mode. Now the line doesn't necessarily, like, you can kind of tell it kind of moves down a little bit. So I'm going to go up here and actually grab the horizontal constraint. Select the line so that way it makes it nice and horizontal. And I'm going to click on dimension, and from the line to the bottom of the shape, this is going to be 0.25. And I'm going to go ahead and select finish. I'm going to select extrude. This time it wants to think we're picking up this shape, but if you notice, the reason why is because it has the yellow reference point there. So actually I'm going to go ahead and select cancel. I'm going to go back into Sketch 2. So over here on my browser, if I right click on Sketch 2 and select Edit Sketch, I can now kind of set up another kind of scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and select Project Geometry. And I want to project this top line so that way I get a second edge. You can see now it becomes yellow. I'm going to go ahead and select Finish. Extrude. Now it doesn't know which to pick, so I'm actually going to pick the top portion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it backward to cut it out, but it's only going to be cut back into the block by 0.375. So it's going to create that little window ledge that we're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and select OK. And that's going to give us kind of the main body of our window block as we go along. So my next portion is going to be, now we've got to create the opening that we have for the window block in order to create it. So I'm going to go ahead and say Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to select this face, which is where the opening starts. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a 2-point rectangle. So I'm going to go right off the top of the ledge here. I'm going to draw it about the size and the shape. Again, it's kind of staying off of this midpoint that we have. Okay, in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and select the dimension tool. From this left edge to the left edge of the opening, it's going to be 0.375. The opening of the opening is going to be 0.375. And then what we're going to be looking for in terms of height is we're going to be looking at about a 0.5 height. So from the top there to the top of this ledge, 0.5. And then we can go ahead, we're fully constrained, so we can finish the sketch. I'm going to extrude. We're going to go ahead and choose from the output, we're going to choose cut. And in this case, I'm going to choose from the distance, I'm going to say through all, and then select OK. And that's going to give us our window block as we see it. As far as the appearance, I can go ahead and choose, we'll go with maybe red. Shows a lot of blue in one of my last ones. So here's a window block made in red. And I'm going to go ahead and click the Save button. So notice how it opens up the folder. We're going to go ahead and call this window block. And what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and close this file. And under New, I'm going to actually select, so when we go down to Drawing, I'm going to find, I want to utilize our custom title blocks that were made in a previous video playlist. So I'm actually going to choose the A size title block, and notice how it's in the project file Multiview Drawings. We'll select Create. It's going to ask for a prompt to in there, so I'm probably going to say this is the window block drawing, and select OK. So now here's where you'll see the drawing name popped in there that we typed. And if I go up here, I'm going to select Base for the base view. And I actually have to find and locate. So if I click the Open an Existing File, you'll see it's going to open up right to my project folder. So here's the window block. I'll select it and say Open. This is going to be the front view of our block. If we need to adjust like the scaling, we can. And right now it is set to hidden line for the style, which means we can go ahead and set that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and select OK. As we're kind of placing, let me go ahead and delete this and let me show you one more time. When we click Base and we have a file that we've picked, we can also do this, where I'm going to place this down in the bottom right corner, keeping this menu open. If I go straight up, I can go ahead and click to place a top view. If I go over here to the right, I can click to place a right side view, and if I go up here diagonally and click, I can place an isometric view. I can go ahead and say OK, and there we'll put in all of our views for our particular drawing. If I need to, so if you notice, like I accidentally exited out of that menu, and I just placed a front view. The other thing that I can do is up here is the projected option. So if you do that, where you accidentally place it and say OK, you can actually go up here and select projected, select your view, go up here, click, go over here, click, go over here to the isometric, and then right click and select create. And that will also create your views as well. So in order to change, everything else looks pretty good. If we need to change the view scale, maybe we want to bump this up to, let's see what a 2:1 looks like. 2:1 looks pretty large, but that's okay. We can be able to see how to change that scaling. And then here on the isometric view, if we double left click on it, so notice how I have to be on what they call the fence. There's like a little dash line around the outside, and my cursor has like a little four-headed arrow. If I double click on it, then I can go ahead and I can change the style over to shaded and select OK. And that usually will set us in there. When we take a look at the student name that gets put in, as well as the scaling and the date, that's one of the things that's the benefit of using the custom title block. Let's go ahead and select Save. And in here, what I would say is go ahead and say Window Block Drawing and select the Save button. And that's all that we have to do for this particular activity, is just create the drawings and learn how to use some of those drawing kind of resources and tools in order to do